Welcome to this lesson on Facebook is Making Us Miserable by Daniel Gulati. Daniel Gulati is a young immigrant entrepreneur settled in New York. He wrote many articles, and his article titled Facebook is Making Us Miserable is interesting and it became an instant success. In the article, he talks about how Facebook has evolved as an important, powerful communication tool and also how it is making life miserable. Gulati's main message is that the activities of liking, commenting, sharing, and posting was in fact causing jealousy, anxiety, and depression. The article further says that there are three distressing ways that are increasingly altering our sense of well being. First one is creating a den of comparison. Secondly, it fragments our time. And thirdly, it is responsible for the decline in close real life relationships. He moves on to talk about many things regarding Facebook, which is making our contemporary life miserable. Nowadays, we hardly find someone without an FB account. The researchers show that when we use social media, especially Facebook or any such networking site, to connect with people we care about, it can be good for our well being. We stay connected. We can feel more connected and less lonely, and that correlates with long term measures of happiness and health. Because nowadays, nobody is lonely if they have a smartphone with internet connectivity. On the other hand, passively reading articles or watching videos or just scrolling the news feeds, even if they are entertaining or informative, may not be as good. And moreover, studies show that there is a direct connection between Facebook use and negative psychological impacts. Studies show that people who use Facebook more often tend to have narcissistic or insecure personalities. They say that the more people use Facebook, the more their life satisfaction levels decline. Overall, while real world social networks were positively associated with overall well being, the use of Facebook was negatively associated with overall well being. And the results of studies show that they affect our mental health. Coming to this essay, the same message is repeated throughout by Daniel Gulati also. Please turn to the essay Facebook is Making Us Miserable. We'll read the essay together. So, with this introduction on the essay on Facebook, let's read the essay. Please turn to the essay by Daniel Gulati. When Facebook was founded in 2004, it began with a seemingly innocuous mission to connect friends. Some 7 years and 800 million users later, the social network has taken over most aspects of our personal and professional lives and is fast becoming the dominant communication platform of the future. And this is the reality of Facebook. And that is something true about Facebook. It was founded in 2004 and there are 800 million users by now. And it is the most powerful communication tool and platform. But there are some things which make us worry about Facebook. But this new world of ubiquitous connections has a dark side. In my last post, I noted that Facebook and social media are major contributors to career anxiety after seeing some of the comments and reactions to the post. It's clear that Facebook, in particular, takes it a step further. It's actually making us miserable. So he moves on with his argument that is Facebook is making our life miserable, and he tries to demonstrate how it makes our life miserable. The very first thing is that what we present online, the life that we project online is something entirely different from the reality, because we project a glossy happier version of ourselves, the successful version of ourselves in a very different mode. But on the other hand, the reality may not be close to that picture. But whoever sees that, who willingly or unwillingly comments or likes it, they are affected by the glossy picture, because they compare the happier version that they see online with their actual life, and they get disillusioned. Facebook's explosive rate of growth and recent product releases, such as the prominent news ticker, top stories on the news feed, and larger photos have all been focused on one goal: encouraging more sharing. As it turns out, it is precisely this hyper sharing that is threatening our sense of happiness. So, what we share is, we want to share everything and that we see, that we have, that we enjoy, we need to share it on the FB. And in writing Passion and Purpose, I monitored and observed how Facebook was impacting the lives of hundreds of young business people. As I went about my research, it became clear that behind all the liking, commenting, sharing, and posting, there were strong hints of jealousy, anxiety, and in one case, depression. Said one interview about a Facebook friend, although he is my best friend, I kind of despise his updates, said another. Now, Facebook is my work day. As I dug deeper, I discovered disturbing byproducts of Facebook's rapid ascension. 3 new distressing ways in which the social media giant is fundamentally altering our daily sense of well being in both our personal and work lives, because we compare our personal and work lives with the online picture posted by your friends, acquaintances, and total strangers or celebrities. First, it's creating a den of comparison. Since our Facebook profiles are self curated, users have a strong bias towards sharing positive milestones and avoid mentioning the more humdrum negative parts of their lives. So, what happens is that what is being projected is the successful side, the glossier side, the happier version, and they don't focus on the hardships that they have gone through. Many a times they don't project or they don't portray the failure in their life. Accomplishments like, hey, I just got promoted, or take a look at my new sports car. Trump sharing the intricacies of our daily commute or life shattering divorce. This creates an online culture of competition and comparison. One interviewer even remarked, I'm pretty competitive by nature, so when my close friends post good news, I always try and one up them. So, this is what is happening. You are constantly in a state of comparison and competition. You compare your life with the projected life of others, and you want to compete with that projected life, not the actual life of that person. Comparing ourselves to others is key driver of unhappiness. Tom DeLonge, author of Flying Without a Net, even describes a comparing trap. He writes, no matter how successful we are and how many goals we achieve, this trap causes us to recalibrate our accomplishments and reset the bar for how we define success. And as we judge the entirety of our own lives against the top 1% of our friends' lives, we are setting impossible standards for ourselves, making us more miserable than ever. So this is what is happening in reality. So we see the projected happier version, the successful version of life of your friends, the 1% of the friends who project that, and we set standards for our own life, our own professional lives, family lives, according to those projected version, and that makes us miserable because it is far from reality. Secondly, it's fragmenting our time. Not surprisingly, Facebook's horizontal strategy encourages users to log in more frequently from different devices. My interviewers regularly access Facebook from the office, at the home through their iPads, and on their smartphones while out shopping. This means that hundreds of millions of people are less present where they are, sketching out a mind numbing presentation for the board meeting. Perhaps it's time to reply to your messages. Stuck in traffic? It's time to browse your newsfeed. Recounted one interview, I almost got hit by a car while using Facebook crossing the street. So this is the second important thing, that is, it fragments our time. It takes us away from the moment. Where we are present, we are not actually present where we are, because we are present somewhere else online. We will be scrolling through the news feeds. We will be looking at the top stories of your friends, liking the post, sharing the photos. So you'll be online somewhere else. Either you are in a office or home or in a shopping mall, but online you are elsewhere. So it actually fragments our time, leaving the risk of real physical harm aside. The issue with this constant tabbing between real life tasks and Facebook is what economists and psychologists say switching costs. Because you'll be in a traffic jam and immediately you take your phone and scroll the news feed. You'll be shopping somewhere, you'll be waiting in a queue, and you can scroll the FB account. So it is called switching costs. The loss in productivity associated with changing from one task to another. Famed author Dr. Sri Kumar Rao attributes mindfulness over multitasking as one of his 10 steps to happiness at work. He argues that constant distractions lead to late and poor quality output, negatively impacting our sense of self-worth. So this fragmentation of time caused by FB is yet another thing that impacts our self-worth. Of course, comparison and competition is there, and apart from that, this is the next thing. Last, that there's a decline of close relationships. Gone are the days when Facebook merely complemented our real life relationships. Now, Facebook is actually winning a share of our core offline interactions. One participant summed it up simply: we Facebook chat instead of meeting up. It's easier. So this is something that is trying to replace our real life relationships. Facebook chat, and we have of course video chats now. Which is actually taking us further away from the actual real life friendships and relationships. As Facebook adds new features such as video chat, it is fast becoming a viable substitute for meetings, relationship building, and even family get togethers. But each time a Facebook interaction replaces a richer form of communication, such as an in person meeting, a long phone call, or even a date at a restaurant. People miss opportunities to interact more deeply than Facebook could ever accommodate. As Facebook continues to add new features to help us connect more efficiently, the battle to maintain offline relationships will become even more difficult, which will impact their overall quality, especially in the long run. Facebook is negatively affecting what psychology professor Jeffrey Parker refers to as the closeness properties of friendship. So, this is what happens with Facebook as Facebook continues to replace the real meetings and one to one talk with a person, with a friend, or with a date, and it negatively affects our psychological mental makeup. So, what should we do to avoid these three traps? Recognizing that quitting Facebook altogether is unrealistic, we can still take measures to alter our usage patterns and strengthen our real world relationships. Some useful tactics I have seen include blocking our designated time for Facebook rather than visiting intermittently throughout the day, selectively trimming Facebook friend lists to avoid undesirable ex partners and gossipy co workers, and investing more time in building offline relationships. The particularly courageous choose to delete Facebook from their smartphones and iPads and log off the platform entirely for long stretches of time. So, it is impossible to quit Facebook or to delete or deactivate the account because it helps us stay connected with your friends, relatives, or parents who are far away. But what we can do to reduce this fragmentation of time is that by allowing the time that we devote to Facebook to a particular time, not checking phone or this FB account intermittently, but we can dedicate a particular time for that. And also by deleting the app from your smartphones and iPads so that you won't scroll through the news feeds when you are in the market or when you are in the mall, when you are in a restaurant, when you are in traffic jam. So these are the certain things that you can adopt to keep the time in social networking sites minimum. Thank you.